Welcome back, folks, to the final episode of Let's Play Phoenix Wright Trials and Tribulations. On our last installment, Dolly Hawthorne. That is all. And what we are going to do is, we're actually going to conclude this case and the game once and for all by dealing with the one person who has yet a chance to explain what really went on. So with that, I present to you the final part of Let's Play Phoenix Wright Trials and Tribulations. From the chapter, start! February 10th, 3:30 p.m., District Court, Courtroom number 7. And before I begin, I must say I have a bit of a sore throat. So therefore, I'm just going to basically do this off of sheer will. I think I'm getting sick. I'm not sure. But, yeah. Out of sheer will, I'm going to finish this game. Now then, before we proceed any further, I'm going to announce the results of the test we had performed earlier. Test? Yes, test on the bloody dagger that was found stuck in the pine tree. Oh yeah, that! I totally forgot about it. That's the weapon, yes. Maya Fey used when she fought with the victim. So what are the results? Was it the victim's blood or... Due to time constraints, a full test wasn't possible. However, there's one thing we can say with certainty. The blood that was on this dagger was not the victim's blood. That is all. Now then, let's restart this trial. So it wasn't Misty's blood on the dagger. Then whose was it? So the dagger has been updated. I'm sure both the defense and the prosecution know this, but this trial is rapidly coming to a close. Yeah, no shit. Both sides will need to show firm evidence with their claims. I understand, Your Honor. From what I've heard, the witness is dangerously weak, physically speaking, so let's finish this quickly. Agreed. Very well. Please bring in the last witness. Witness, please tell us your name and profession. My profession is, I'm the assistant manager at Wright & Company Law Offices. Maya. According to the magazine I have here, you're a spirit medium of the Korean chanting technique. I'm frightened. The fake twin, I don't want any more to deal with it. Oh, Maya. The pain the Fae bloodline causes must be unbearable. Very well. Now then, Miss Faye. When the event occurred, you were in the garden of the inner temple. And you witnessed the moment of Miss Elise Dunham's murder. Is this correct? I didn't see it. Straighten up this moment, young lady. Pick your head up and speak clearly. There's always time for crying later. But Your mother was killed right in front of your eyes. There's nothing you can do to change that fact. But there's something you can do. You can finish this. You've been watching the whole thing, right? You've seen the witnesses come out and you've seen us squeeze the truth out of them. Now it's your turn. Let's hear your testimony. On the night of the crime, what exactly did you see happen? Witness, if you please. Yes, Your Honor. At the Inner Temple, I was passing through the garden on the way to a spare prep room when it happened. Suddenly, someone struck me over the head. I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. I think I screamed, "Help me!" And then something warm splashed over me. Oh dear. That's when I lost consciousness. So you were struck on the head. I suppose it must have been the staff. Maya, the person who hit you. It was Dahlia Hawthorne, wasn't it? I'm sorry, Nick. I just couldn't see. I don't know who it was. Maya, think hard. Sorry, Nick, but I really couldn't. Can't say it was an especially good night for young ladies to be walking around alone. Seems that it will be hard to determine the criminal through testimony alone. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Please begin your cross-examination. Maya, hang in there. She doesn't look well at all. Like I said, I'm not feeling too hot myself, but I'm gonna wheel through this. That's right, I'm gonna actually wheel myself through this game. I have to say this. Hold it! Who did it? Who hit you? Well, I didn't see who it was. Yeah, he was hit from behind. You didn't see the person? But after that, your attacker was in front of you. How could you not see who it was? Oh, let me think for a sec. I'm sorry, I just can't remember. Maya's really having a hard time. What should I do? Press her. Come on, Maya. This isn't making sense. Why didn't you see this person? Well, let me think. It was a... Oh yeah, that's right. It was dark. That's it. It was dark. It's not good to have too much light around when someone is undergoing spiritual training. Come to think of it, there was an earlier testimony to that effect as well. So it was dark in the garden on the night of the crime. Which is why she didn't see her attacker. I thought maybe she was trying to hide something, but I guess not. Judging by the testimony so far, the identity of the attacker was most likely the spirit that was channeled by at least Demon Dahlia Hawthorne. Very well, please continue with your testimony. What happened after you were struck on your head, on the head? Press that. You think you screamed, but you're not sure. Listen, I was a complete wreck. It was dark and I couldn't see my attacker. Was it a man, a woman, an adult, a child? I had no idea. I was scared out of my wits. Believe me, my dear, I'm certain I would have soiled my robes. I thought this person might attack me, so I
Anyway, I'm pretty sure I screamed. I thought that it was my last hope.
Wow, it sounds like poor little Maya really was out of her mind. But I wonder what she meant by last hope. What do I do? Do I press her for more details? My last hope. Wait a minute, Maya. What's this my last hope stuff?
What? What do you mean by your last hope?
No. That's what you said. You said my last hope.
What? I said what?
Look, you were facing an attacker that you couldn't see, and you screamed, right? You screamed, "Help me!"
Yeah.
But you testified that you screamed that because you thought it was your last hope.
Oh, well, that's like, what do you call it when that happens?
Maya's not doing so well there.
Oh, yeah, oh, that's right. I remember now. I was facing my attacker, but that's not who I was screaming at.
What did you just say?
Yeah, that's right. It was the person behind my attacker that I was yelling at. That's who I was screaming to for help. Ah!
What is it now?
I messed up. I didn't mean to let that slip out.
Witness, are you absolutely sure of what you're saying? Behind the attacker, there was another person. I need some air in this room.
I meant to keep that part a secret.
That's it, I need to get some air. Hold on. Oh yeah, that's much better. I got some air in this room. I need to get this air going. I need to have it circulated.
What have I done?
It takes a ton of pressure to make a diamond. That's what I always say.
Ton of pressure.
You're in a court of law here. You can't make things up or try to hide things in this chamber. Witness, the information you just presented. Witness, the information you just presented is vital to the case. I want you to add it to your testimony. And what she says is,
I could see a man behind my attacker by the light of the stone lantern.
hold it! A man. Who was this man?
Well, you see, I couldn't see.
You couldn't see. She used this excuse twice now.
Well, lantern light isn't very bright.
Lantern light, did you say?
There's a great big stone lantern in the garden. They always light it when an acolyte is there for training. Hey, you know what they say, under the lantern darkness reigns? So I can see the person that was further away, but not my attacker who was closer. Plus there weren't any other light sources in the garden at the time.
Oh, why did I do that? You don't mean... What was it? I'm pressing it anyway.
I didn't know at the time, but... I think it was probably blood.
She's saying that's when Miss Dunham, who was channeling Dahlia, was stabbed in the back by the killer.
At the moment, I was paralyzed with fear. I was just sitting there in the snow. And sheer blood got on everything around me.
this case, objection! So there was a man standing behind your attacker.
Yeah.
That man, he's the killer. He stabbed her from behind. He's the one who killed Elise Dunim, otherwise known as Misty Faye, your mother.
The killer?
Maya, you know who killed your mother, don't you? What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright? To be frank, Your Honor, I think she's in shock and quite confused. That's why she hasn't noticed the huge problem with her testimony.
What do you mean? What problem?
Maya, on the night of the murder, on the night of the crime, that stone lantern was out of commission.
Huh? What?
It's true. There was no light anywhere in the garden that night.
No!
An order in the court. Mr. Godo, explain this. 16. We don't care now. It's just there. Add the pureness of milk to the perfect, clear darkness of coffee. Stir. That is the state of the witness' mind right now. A cup of café au lait. Café au lait? Is that even legal? Mr. Tritewares are the milk, and you are the spoon, Your Honor. I'm a spoon! I'm no spoony bard, I'll have you know! You must have noticed it too, Trite. This witness' mental state is highly unstable right now. It's not hard to understand why she would make a little mistake like that. Sorry, but that's not going to cut it. What did you say? If there truly was no light in the garden, then there's a fatal contradiction in the witness' last bit of testimony.
Nick.
Ma'am, recall the witness' statement about her attacker? She said that she didn't know if it was a man or a woman, an adult or a child. And yet, the witness could describe a person that was standing behind her attacker, and she quite clearly described him as a man. In other words, that would mean that Maya actually saw our mystery person, despite it being so dark that she couldn't see the face of the attacker in front of her.
No!
Order, order, order! What in the world does this all mean, Mr. Wright? Are you saying Miss Faye saw the real killer under pitch black conditions?
Objection!
Try. Do you have any idea what you're proposing? How could she have seen in the dark? There were no other light source at the scene.
Objection!
There are some things that you can only see in the dark, Mr. Godot. Maya, did you see who the killer was in the dark? And now, you're trying to cover for him. Cover for the man that killed her mother? There's only one conclusion I can draw from this. You know who this man is.
Please, Nick. I don't know anything. Please, I'm begging you.
You talk a good game, Trite, but let's see if you can walk the walk. It was pitch black, so what could the witness see? I'm calling your bluff.
No, Nick, don't. Please, stop.
Maya's dead set on protecting this guy. The man who murdered Maya's long-lost mother. But I can't let him get away with it. I'm a lawyer, an officer of the court. I'm here to find the truth. Alright, Mr. Wright, time to show us what you've got. Who was this person that you say Miss Faye saw in the darkness? A prosecutor shrouded in mystery. Seems to know me somehow. Take that! Because it was pitch black, Miss Faye was able to recognize the killer easily. I'm sure the court would like to see for itself how this is possible, yes? What? But how do you propose to show us something like that? It's easy. We just need to recreate the conditions of that night. Conditions? Your Honor, the defense officially requests that all the lights in this courtroom be turned off. But it can't be! Huh. That was a nice bit of deduction. Right. Oh, hi, Cyclops. Well, everyone, this is the man Maya saw on the night of the murder. Prosecutor Goto, what is the meaning of this? Ready to hear it. Surely you must be shocked to hear yourself accused of such a thing. Why aren't you denying it? Your Honor, you're asking the wrong person. What do you mean by that? If you got a question, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. Well, Maya, how about it? What you saw that night? Was it 3 glowing red lights? Well, witness, answer the question.
You're wrong. I never saw that.
Maya!
I thought the person that stabbed my mother was a man. For a totally different reason.
What? Stop your chattering, Your Honor. Chattering? 16. If it's worth asking the witness, that's one of them. If it's worth asking, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. Alright. Well then, let's continue with the testimony. Please tell us how you knew the killer was a man.
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't realize until after I woke up, but...
The killer.
When I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. The torches were lit and the body was gone. All the snow around the stone lantern had been carefully cleaned up too. Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed him was a man.
So it was after the crime took place that the witness came to think the killer was a man.
Yes, that's right. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
No need to apologize. It's, as Mr. Godot said, you're utterly exhausted. It's only natural that you would be a little confused. Also, if you consider the situation you described, it doesn't seem too much of a stretch to assume the criminal was a man. Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination. The killer. And we press everything. That's all you need to do. Press everything. Hold it! So you lost consciousness when you were in the garden. Is that right?
Yes, I think it happened when the victim was stabbed.
So the person that carried you into the inner temple could have only been the killer.
That's what I think too.
So the killer carried Maya into the inner temple. Naturally, the killer must have done it, right?
Yes, I think so.
But why would the killer tamper with a crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide.
I don't know.
Looks like she doesn't have enough confidence. I think I need to gather some information before I ask her again. Hold it! The torches were lit.
Yes, that's how I noticed that the whole scene had changed.
I'm going to say it was the killer who lit the torches. I mean, who else could it be? The killer probably lit them up since it would be impossible to do any cover-up work in the dark. However, if that's true, there's one thing that still bothers me. Why did the killer go to the effort of moving the body? That's true. It's hard to see that. It's hard to see how that would be any advantage to the killer. The only one who would gain anything from that would be the only person that was at the inner temple, Maya. Very well, let me hear some more about the condition of the crime scene. So you're saying that the killer cleaned up the snow? It did look really odd. Snow was removed in an unnatural looking rectangular shape around the lantern.
There were large shovels around the inner temple, but they're all really heavy, way too heavy for me to use.
An odd fellow indeed, this killer. Why on earth would anyone want to take snow anyway? Well, there's one thing I can think of. Didn't you say that a lot of the victim's blood sprayed onto the snow?
Yeah. Their collapsed and ended up being splattered.
In other words, the killer's purpose was to hide the bloody snow. I think that's the most reasonable explanation. Perhaps. However, there's something that's bothering me. If the killer just wanted to hide the snow with blood on it, there was no need to remove that amount. That's true. He could have scooped up just the snow that was stained with blood. It looks like there are some mysteries behind this issue.
But I think this will help explain them.
And we press that. So you're saying that you never saw the killer, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But earlier you very clearly stated you saw a man behind your attacker.
Nick, I'm sorry.
The killer certainly went through a lot of trouble, moving the body by pendulum, manipulating the crime scene. But for what purpose? Why do all that? Maybe Maya knows more than she's letting on. And now we press the statement again. Hold it! Naturally, the killer must have done it, right?
Yes, I think so.
But why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer just really wanted to hide.
The truth is, when I saw the crime scene, I felt something.
You did?
Yes, I felt like the killer was hiding the evidence from me, for my sake.
What? Hiding it for you?
Everyone knew that I was the only one at the inner temple that night. If Sister Bikini had come back and looked at the garden,
She may have thought that you had done it. No, she definitely would have thought so. And you're saying that that's why the killers cleaned up the crime scene to make it look like nothing had happened.
yes, I'm sure of it.
Well, that's certainly an important piece of information. I want you to add that to your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor. I think it was for my sake that the killer cleaned up the evidence of what had happened.
So we're going to press that one. They did it for your sake?
Well, if the body and the blood hadn't been removed, I would have immediately been the prime suspect, right?
Yes, I suppose that's true. And that if that happened, the body would have caused some other problems too. If her real identity had come out right then, it would have been terrible. Master of Karain, killed by own daughter. I don't think Maya would have been able to handle it. But still, it's rather difficult to fathom the killer's motives. What reason is there to go through that much trouble to protect you? You know what I say? Let's present this one more time. Objection! The body of Elise Dunim was carried all the way to Hazakura Temple's courtyard. Then at the garden, the real scene of the crime. The snow that we suspect was covered in blood and was scooped up and removed. It's reasonable to believe all this was done in an attempt to hide the true crime scene. However, there's still one matter that seems somewhat odd. Oh, and what would that be? You must have figured it out by now, Mr. Godo. It's the message within... It's the message written in blood on the lantern. It was written very clearly on the white stone lantern. Maya. If the killer was so motivated to protect Maya from suspicion, then why didn't he wipe the writing off the lantern? Ah, you're right! Order, order, order! But Mr. Wright, isn't it a fact that the killer was trying to cover up the crime scene? Indeed, but it doesn't make much sense to remove the body and remove the bloody snow. Then not wipe off the most incriminating thing of all, the bloody writing. 16. But if that's the case, I'm not even counting anymore. Do you have an explanation for the killer's mysterious behavior? Why would this killer move the body and remove all that snow, but then leave the bloody writing on the lantern? I don't know what the killer's plan was, but it's the fact that the killer left the writing on the lantern. There must be a reason for it. Well then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your opinion. Why did the killer leave the message written in blood on the lantern? He didn't notice it. Prosecutor Godo, earlier in this trial you gave me some good advice. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Maybe you're not as dumb as I thought. The real killer wanted to disguise the fact that a crime occurred there. If that's the case, they wouldn't have left the bloody writing on the stone lantern on purpose. Therefore, it must mean that they didn't notice it.
But that doesn't make any sense. The torches were all lit and everything. There's no way any normal person would miss something as glaring as that.
You're right. There is no way any normal person would. What are you trying to say, Mr. Wright? There's only one person involved in this incident who could have missed seeing the bloody writing altogether. And who would that be? Who is the person that could have noticed the fail of the bloody writing? Godo. Take that! Mr. Godo, this is what you said yesterday. My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything. You can't see everything! Is that correct, Mr. Godo? This lantern was submitted as evidence yet today. I would like the court to think back to the moment it was first presented. This lantern, there's something written on it. Why, it's written in blood! Nonsense! This lantern, it's as clean as a whistle. Mr. Godo, just admit it. There are certain colors you can't see, correct? You can't see red on a white background, can you? That's right. We went through this once before. During the poisoning case at Trevian. This is the apron the delightful Miss Bird was wearing at the time, and somehow spilled coffee on it. There's something still bothering me, Mr. Godo. Why have you not explained the bloodstain to the court? Bloodstain? What bloodstain would that be? Don't play games, prosecutor. The bloodstain, the blood-colored stain that smeared all over the apron. That's ridiculous. No one told me anything about a blood stain. You can see the coffee on the white apron, but you couldn't see the ketchup because it was red. Is this 17 now? We don't know. It's strange. In a black and white photo, those letters would have appeared black to me. I wonder, why am I the only one that can't see them? So then, Mr. Godo, are you admitting it? Are you admitting that you can't see the red writing on the lantern? Hey, Grabs, didn't you know? That's the reason why I don't drink red tea. I wasn't sure about it until now, but I just can't believe it. Prosecutor Godo is the murderer. But there's no going back now. I finally figured out the truth. Mr. Godo, the defense at this time formally accuses you. You are the murderer of Miss Elise Dunim, also known as Miss Misty Faye. It's hard to believe this may be true. However, once again, Mr. Wright has brought up a disquieting fact about you. Just make sure you don't fill out the indictment in red ink, Gramps. Come on. How does a little graffiti make me into the killer? Besides, it's not like it's my name that's written there. I'm certain that the killer wasn't able to see the color red. This is rich. Do go on trade. The answer is right there at the crime scene. In the snow. The snow. How so? Well, for example, why did the killer move all that snow? Your Honor, you said it yourself. If they wanted to hide the black snow, why not take out just that area? Yes, why didn't they just take out that area? Oh, could it be? Yes, the killer couldn't see the red blood that seeped into the snow. And so he had to remove all of the snow. He couldn't be sure of where the blood had landed, so he removed the whole area. Isn't it more likely that the killer could see the blood because it was dark? Not a chance. The torches were all lit. They would have been able to see fine. It seems that, once again, this trial has taken an unexpected turn, to say the least. Can you explain this, Mr. Godo?
Hold it! Wait! Just wait a minute!
Maya! What is it, witness?
Mr. Godo isn't the killer. After all, he didn't even come to the inner temple until 2 days after the murder took place. He didn't show up until after that old bridge got fixed up.
Objection!
Maya. You can't testify to something like that.
Why? What do you mean? I mean, look at, but I'm...
After the murder happened, you didn't even exist. She didn't? I'm afraid I don't follow. Oh, you see now, old man. We established this just a little while ago. After the murder, this witness was unconscious for a long time. Because she was channeling Dahlia Hawthorne. Oh, that's right.
Please, Your Honor, let me add to my testimony. Nick, please listen to me.
Maya. You plan to cover up for Godo no matter what the cost. If that's the case, then I've got no choice. Your Honor, let's hear her testimony. If it means we're going to hear the whole truth, I say we should not silence her. Nicely done, Wright. Very well, let's hear the witness testimony. Please tell us what happened at the inner temple after the murder.
Yes, sir. After I woke up, I began channeling, and my spirit left me, as it were. But that little girl was there at the inner temple, too.
After the incident,
Riley was stuck on the inner temple side that night. The next morning she looked around but couldn't find anyone. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in a spare prep room. That's when Mr. Godo arrived at the inner temple for the first time. He found Pearly first and cheered her right up.
Who is this Pearly?
That's my little cousin, Pearl Faye.
So when did you hear about this?
Oh, just a while ago when I was in the medical office.
I'm terribly sorry. But what you heard from someone else is simply not at Miss Ball's testimony.
What? Come on! Pearly would never tell a lie! She's a way more honest person than I'll ever be.
Real smart, Maya. You always know the best things to say when you're under oath. The prosecution has no objection. We believe the witness. Mr. Godo! Let's move on to the cross-examination, if the defense has no objections. This is highly unusual, but... Well, Mr. Wright... Let's get this cross-examination started. Well, there's not much I could do here. Just press. So where did you think Pearl slept that night?
In the spare prep room next to the training hall, I guess. There's a rule that you can't enter training hall during an acolyte's training.
But even so, why did she go to the inner temple in the first place? Seems that Pearls became very worried about Mayim. She knew that the spiritual training I
was about to undergo was very tense.
Pearls was supposed to channel Dahlia Hawthorne, but she couldn't do it. That's why she headed to the inner temple. However, Dahlia Hawthorne was already there, possessing the body of Elise Denim. Hold it! She searched the entire inner temple side end to end.
Well, you see, Pearly gets pretty scared when she's alone. And there weren't that many places to look. She said that she went back and forth several times.
The inner temple side has two structures, the training hall and a spare prep room.
And there's also a storage shack, I think. That's about it.
There was a storage shack, too? Pearls was looking for other people, right? Would she have really examined a storage shack all that carefully?
Well, if it was me, that would be the first place I would investigate.
So that means it's possible that someone may have been hiding in the storage shack. The Pearls didn't hear the sound of them working on the bridge.
What do you mean?
I was just wondering why she would just stay in the prep room. If it was me, I'd at least go out and wait at the foot of the bridge.
Oh, well, Pearly said she was sleeping at the time. She said she was so scared during the night that she couldn't sleep well and woke up a bunch of times.
Poor little girl. All alone like that. Well, we do know that she had at least one friend in the sixth cabin. Dahlia Hawthorne, who was busy battling with the trick lock. She couldn't let anyone see her, so she wouldn't have shown herself to Pearls. What happened after the bridge was finally fixed?
That's when Mr. Kodo's...
So it was your first time on the inner temple side, Mr. Godo? That's funny. Am I imagining things, or did the defense ask me a question? Mr. Wright, please save your questions for the witness. what you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. Those are your words, Your Honor. Touché, Mr. Wright. Oh well. What do you have to say, Mr. Godo? Hot nights and even hotter coffee. That's what I always say. If it hadn't been for this case, I never would have visited that freezing cold temple in the mountains. I think I'll pass. So we had never visit Hazakor Temple or the Inner Temple, You want to say something trite? In any case, I have to find a crack in Godo's armor. While I cross-examine Maya, that is. Very well, please go on with your testimony. After fixing the bridge, the policeman came over to the Inner Temple site, right?
Yes, and Mr. Godo.
Press. He cheered her up?
That's what Pearlie said. She said she was a very nice older gentleman. Thank you for looking after my cousin, Mr. Godo.
And here I was thinking you were nothing more than a coffee addict. Cut it out. You're making me blush. This guy is really beginning to get on my nerves. In more ways than one. The truth is there aren't many places to look on the Inner Temple side. The policemen were all busy going over the garden with fine-tooth combs. So I decided to carry out an investigation in my own way. Godo style. I'm the same way. I like to hand down my verdicts in my own way, judge style. Maybe I should ask some questions. Phoenix style. Godo's investigation. You said that you conducted an investigation of your own. Did you find anything? It looks like my investigation went as well as yours. It looks like my investigation went about as well as yours, Trite. After all, I did miss the bloody writing on the lantern. Well, I did miss it, so speak for yourself, Goggles. The only odd thing I discovered was the beauty in the training hall. Beauty? Misty Faye, naturally. Clad in a stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western taste. Western taste? Could he find a stranger way to describe gravy? So from there you headed for the pep room. Wait a second. What did Godo say just now? I think I just found his proverbial weak spot. There's only one thing of any importance here. Where was Godo when the murder was taking place? He must have already been at the Inner Temple when it happened. Otherwise, he couldn't have killed Elistuna. One, two, three, four. Oh, check this out. Missy Faye's image is obscured by gravy. Objection! Mr. Godo, the first time you crossed Dusky Bridge and went into the Inner Temple was long before the murder took place.
Why do you say that?
Because he just made one fatal slip-up. The hanging scroll in the training hall. Hanging scroll?
But Mr. Godo is right. That scroll shows a picture of my mother.
Maya, I know you know who it is. But here's something you didn't know. By the time the bridge had been repaired 2 days after the murder, the hanging scroll in the training hall looked like this. What's that wonderfully delicious smell? The morning after the crime, someone covered it with gravy.
Gravy? But why gravy, Nick?
Because gravy was much more than a condiment to the culprit. Well, Mr. Godo, if you really hadn't seen the hanging scroll until after the murder, you wouldn't have had any way of knowing that it was Misty Faye.
Hold it! Wait a minute, Nick!
Yes?
Take another look at the hanging scroll. Look, at the top, there's a crest there.
Ah, that is the mark of the master, correct?
Exactly. So if you know the meaning of the mark,
then you could guess that it was a picture of Misty Faye on there. True, but Mr. Godo described what was unearthed like this. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes.
Oh.
Yes, it's possible that he knew what the crest meant. However, he could have known that she was wearing Japanese clothing. Mr. Godo, on the day of the murder, you were hiding at the inner temple long before the crime took place. Can I ask just one little thing, Wright? What is it? This whole theory of yours, it all rests on a certain assumption. That I knew beforehand that a crime was going to be committed.
That's right. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to sneak out onto the crime scene.
Of course, Mr. Godo knew about the plan.
Huh?
What did you say? Is it really possible that another person knew of the plan? Yep. Orders from Morgan Faye. Open once before. Take that! This crime was actually planned over a year ago. Morgan Faye authored the plan for her daughter's future. And these instructions were hidden somewhere in Faye Manor for a year. However, by the time Little Pearls found these instructions, they had already been unsealed. Unsealed. Yes, the killer had read these instructions long before Pearls ever found them. That's how we knew the crime was to take place at the Inner Temple. And you're saying this crafty killer, it's me. You bet I am. But you just said that the instructions were hidden.
That's right. Mr. Godo couldn't have known where the instructions were hidden.
If he really wanted to know, he had one great chance to find out. Yes, and when was that? During a visit.
A visit?
Morgan Faye told her daughter, Pearl, about where the instructions were hidden. During one of her visits to the detention center. That would be the only time for someone to have learned where they were hidden. Eavesdropping on a visit at the detention center. Yes, it could have been arranged. If you were someone with easy access in and out of there. Like, for example, a prosecutor such as Mr. Godo. Order, order, order! Mr. Godo, you're under fire again! This murder could not have been carried out without prior knowledge. And you were the only one that could have acquired this information before the murder. Brigade. Humans are afraid of the dark. And yet, at the same time, we're fascinated and bewitched by it. Maybe that's why humans drink the darkness that is coffee. Sorry for always asking, but what does that mean? It means there's a reason for everything. According to your theory, the killer is, in this case, eavesdropped. on a conversation during a jail visit where he learned of a hidden plan for a crime. After discovering the plans, he hid in the inner temple and waited for the crime to occur. Then he ultimately took a person's life. And he did all that just to protect this witness. That's right. If you're accusing me of this crime, I have to ask you, why would I do this? This girl is nothing but a stranger to me. I've got no reason to go through that kind of trouble to protect her. I am what you see. I am certainly not the type to rescue the damsel in distress. The killer's behavior is certainly extreme, for lack of a better word. Even considering that the killer wanted to protect this witness' life, his behavior is still a little too unnatural. However, you had a good reason, didn't you, Mr. Godo? An unshakable reason that forced you to protect this witness at all costs.
I knew it. You figured it out, haven't you, Nick?
Maya, I guess you were doing your best to cover for Godo. For the same reason, huh? Okay, Wright, I'm all ears. Let's hear it. It's very simple. Maya Fey is a lot more than just a stranger to you. Well, what's this? There's one person who lies at the very center of this whole story. One person that ties you and Maya Fey together inextricably. Mia Fey! Take that! There's a very good reason why Maya Fey's life is so precious to you. After all, she is Mia Fey's only sister. Mia Fey. You once worked alongside her. That was when you were a defense attorney. Wait a second, yeah? Mr. Godo is a defense attorney? With your honest, piercing intellect, you must have figured out by now. The real name of this man who calls himself Godo, his real name is Diego Armando. Isn't that right? The last time someone called me by that name was over 6 years ago. Diego Armando. That name rings a bell. It should, Your Honor. All of this is related to a single case. A case in which a convict named Terry Falls killed himself. Mia Fey's first time in court, the tragic outcome left a deep wound in her heart. She knew that behind it all was a heartless, scheming demoness in disguise. But in the end, Mia couldn't tear off that disguise. However, there was one man who reached out to help her. Diego Armando, a senior defense lawyer at the office where Mia worked.
It's my fault! It's my fault that Mr. Falls killed himself!
Mia, you can't cry yet. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over. Who strangely looks like Robert Garcia from King of Fighters. I was moved by her. The way she put all the way she put all her faith in her clients. That pure sweetheart of hers. That's why I could never forgive Dahlia Hawthorne. Me and I thoroughly investigated that fake kidnapping incident. Then, one fateful day, Dahlia wanted to meet with me. It had been 6 months since the trial. We met in the courthouse cafeteria. Ah, I just remembered. 6 years ago, right here in this courthouse, you were poisoned. Even I didn't see it coming. Dahlia Hawthorne slipped some poison into my coffee. Some newspapers at the time called it a murder, but very little information about the case was released to the press. But you weren't dead at all! No official reports ever actually called it a murder. I was just in a deep, deep coma. I see. My body shut down and my life became nothing but a long, deep sleep. That woman's poison did a real number on my central nervous system. I lost my sight, and all my hair turned white due to the damage it caused.
It's terrible.
Apparently, it's a miracle that I ever regained consciousness. 5 years had passed since I drank that poison brew. Then one morning, my eyes flew open from the smell of the doctor's cup of coffee. For 5 years. You were asleep for 5 years! And the worst possible news was waiting for me. Mia Fey was dead. From the very moment I opened my eyes, I had already lost everything I thought I had. The woman I loved had been murdered. And the woman I loathed had been sentenced to death. The woman you loathed. The woman who had spiked my scalding hot coffee. Dahlia Hawthorne! Good on Mia. She didn't let me down. She got her revenge before she checked out. In the end, there wasn't anyone waiting for me when I woke up.
That's so sad.
For someone like me. For someone who had slept away their best days. There were only 2 reasons left to live. And it was for those 2 reasons that I decided to become a prosecutor. If I may ask, what were your 2 reasons to live? The first was you, Wright. Me? If I hadn't drank that stupid poison, Mia Fey would have never died, much less the way she did. You were the only one who was there to protect her. But you let her die. It was all your fault. It wasn't like that. I wanted to see for myself what kind of man you really were. So that's why you became a prosecutor. My other reason for living. She goes by the name of Mia Fey.
You mean me?
You were the only one I could make up for the sin of not saving Mia. 1 year ago, when the Korean Village incident was resolved, it was obvious that Morgan Fey was planning something. Whatever her evil plan was, I was determined to stop it. My role as a prosecutor put me in the perfect position to do something about her. That's how you overheard Pearl's visit with Morgan at the detention center. I knew that the time was drawing near. Since I knew the plan, I thought I could foil it. My goal was to outwit the plan. I thought if I could do that, I could keep that girl from being caught up in it. That makes sense. If Pearls hadn't known that the actual purpose of the plan was to kill Maya, she never would have helped out. Finally, the day of the plan was drawing near. I contacted both my accomplices. Iris of Hazakor Temple and Misty Faye. I especially need the help of Iris. She was to take the fall in my backup plan in case we couldn't control Pearl Faye.
But how did you contact my mother?
She had been missing for almost
20 years.
Officially, yes.
What do you mean, officially?
You've heard about it, haven't you? About the strong ties between the main family and the government? Now that you mention it, Bikini did say something to that effect. She said that the Master of Karain had great authority. Even without her official position, Misty Faye still wielded great influence. The police have been keeping an eye on her movements all this time. That's how I was able to contact her. Again, because of my position as a prosecutor.
So my mother was cooperating with you.
Don't ever forget. No matter how far away No matter how far away from you she was, she never stopped thinking about you.
She was always...
That's why. I knew she would do anything to protect you. If you want to know how strong her resolve to protect you was, look at her staff. Her staff? The one with the sword in it? The day the plan was to be carried out arrived soon enough. We met for the first time in Hazakor Temple. That's when your mother showed me her special staff. I realized it then, just how far she was willing to go. She was ready to use that sword to protect you from Morgan Faye if necessary. Yes, even if it meant paying the ultimate price.
Mother.
That night, the night of the crime, there was just one way to stop Morgan's evil plan. You mean Pearls, don't you? We had to make sure she didn't channel Dahlia Hawthorne.
Well, Pearls, what are you going to do tonight? Well, if you like, you can come to my room. Perhaps we can read some books together.
We thought we could prevent her from playing her part in Morgan's plan, but she never showed up.
She was worried and followed me to the inner temple.
That was the thing we were most afraid of. And that's why Misty Faye had to do the channeling herself. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne into her own body. What do you mean? If she channeled the spirit first, then Pearls wouldn't be able to do it herself. As Master of Karain, Misty Faye's power was supreme. So that's how it went down. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne so that Pearl Faye wouldn't be able to.
What?
What? Is this true? My role in the plan was to make sure no one was going to hurt Maya Faye. That's why I hid myself at the inner temple. Just in case you need to be saved from Dolly Hawthorne. Godo. Anyway, that's all I'm going to admit to. That's right. There's no doubt about it. You're a great defense lawyer. But you're going to have to do the rest yourself. The background leading up to this incident has been laid bare. There's just one question remaining, Mr. Wright. Who killed the victim? There are only two possible suspects right now. Maya Fey, and I'm sad to say you, Mr. Godo. Well, Wright. If you're the real deal, then finish this thing once and for all. Show us beyond the shadow of doubt that you can finish this on your own!
No, Nick! Please don't!
Maya.
I heard the whole thing from my sister in the medical office. That's why I have to protect Mr. Godo. I can't do it. I can't testify against him. After all, he's the man who put his life on the line to protect Mia. And me too!
Maya, I know that!
Nick.
But even so, it doesn't absolve him of his crime! Please, Maya, testify! Miss Faye, your testimony, please. This is the final testimony. Don't bother trying to hide anything, because I'll know. I want to hear the truth from your own lips.
I understand. I'm sure you're right. I'm ready now, Nick.
Alright, young lady. Tell us about the moments before you lost consciousness. What exactly happened at the time of the murder? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop at this point because of A, you'll see it in the description box. Why? And B, this is the final testimony, so I'm going to make that in a different video. And like I said, this is the last part of the game, so therefore I'm leaving the best part for last. So that, in that case, I'm going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to hear the final testimony of the entire game. So stay tuned. The last and final episode of Let's Play Phoenix Wright will continue right after this.